School's out, folks. I'm back on YouTube and I absolutely can't wait to delve into more Microsoft Flight Simulator news content, starting with today's video on the FREEWARE A350. Digital Flight Dynamics have been developing an A350 for quite some time now, and just like the fly-by-wire and headwind simulations teams, their product is also going to be completely free and, more importantly, high fidelity and ultra detailed. The team have shared a 20+ minute video showcasing the progress they've made on a bunch of different stuff, including the MFD or the multifunction display unit, the general systems, texturing and modeling, and more. So without further ado, let's get right into the meat of everything right here in this video. Now, I'm sure if you're watching this video concerning an A350, you likely enjoy flying other long-haul routes in the sim as well, which often entail long durations where you put the plane in cruise and just kind of sit there in case you need to intervene, change up the route, your flight level, or something like that. Well, with today's sponsor, Asobo Remote, you don't have to worry about anything like that anymore. Their Windows, Android, and Mac application allows you to fully take over your sim's controls via third-party devices, including your phone, as you can see in the background right here. Now, if you do wish to learn more about the product and get a fat discount on a couple of their software services, do check the link in the description to learn more. That's Asobo Remote once again, link in the description for more details. Now, getting into the A350 updates then, let's first start with the avionics side of things. The lead developer speaks about the commendable progress that's been made on the multifunction display unit starting things off. The system uses Fly-by-Wire's custom-developed FMS V2 system as the backbone behind their A350 MCDU, which is a strong foundation to build upon. The developer also highlights that SimBrief integration will be included from the get-go when the product launches, even though it's not demonstrated in this video directly. With that said, the developer first goes on to show us the work done on the flight planning side of things, showing how all the drop-down menus on the MFD can indeed be selected, and most of the functions are already modeled and working in the aircraft. As you can see, the full flight initialization procedure has been modeled and works. If you're familiar with programming the A320's MCDU, for example, this is relatively similar, with the origin and destination ICAO codes to be entered, cruise flight level, and cost index entry as well. This company routes section, I suspect, is where we can find SimBrief integration that I just mentioned, like other aircraft from Microsoft Flight Simulator such as the PMDG 737 that have also demonstrated this feature in the past. Just like the A320, the developer goes on to show us that all departures and arrivals, including SIDS and stars with all airport runways available in the global database that the devs have access to, will be available from launch to fly to and from. As is once again the case with most Airbus aircraft, you have access to temporary and inserted flight plans with the ability to enter specific waypoints and airways. Now, all of this is pretty standard stuff, but it's good to see it's all being modeled and ready to go as well, so good progress all around. Speaking of progress, our channel is sitting just 150 odd subscribers away from 29,000 subscribers, so if you do enjoy content like this and would like to see more of it, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more. Next up then, on the MFD, we have full checklist implementation as well. As you can see, most if not all crucial checklists have been modeled already, including the likes of cockpit preparation right before departure to securing the aircraft and departure chain checklists once you get to the destination airport as well. The dev team also shows us how both sensed and non-sensed items have been modeled into the checklists. Now, for those that don't know, sensed items are those that don't require you to actually check a box next to a checklist and are automatically sensed by the aircraft based on the state of a switch or button. Let me explain. So for example, you can see how the seatbelt sign switch here in the cockpit preparation checklist doesn't have a checkbox right next to it, but when the dev manually switches the seatbelt switch on, the aircraft senses it's now on and marks that item as complete. Now, for the vast majority of items here, they are non-sensed and include the checkbox next to them for you to check off manually, but it's all modeled based on real-life procedures, so once again, good to see the right amount of attention to detail in this regard as well. Each checklist, when complete, also appears white on the main checklist page, and you can even reset checklists, as you can see in the background right here. So all in all, pretty comprehensive and complete in this regard once again, and the developer actually said at this point in the video that the aircraft is much closer to being VATSIM able in its ability to fly from point A to B, and therefore closer to an A350 release. That last part was the developer developers' own words, so pretty cool to see everything tugging along nicely. Moving on with the avionics, the dev also highlights that they've begun HOPI implementation for CPDLC support on launch for the A350, which stands for Controller Pilot Data Link Communications, for those of you that don't know. It's essentially a system using which ATC and pilots can transmit non-urgent strategic messages to each other as an alternative to voice communications. As you can see, therefore, the entire ATC communication menu within the MFD is modeled. On the right are the various pre-formatted options for you to send messages to ATC, including clearance requests, speed change requests, weather data, and more. Since this is a long-haul aircraft often flying over the ocean, the dev goes on to demonstrate what an oceanic clearance might look like. So you can see how you can enter the ICAO code for the Oceanic Controller Center, the entry point where you'll get into that airspace, combined with the ATA, the Mach or speed at which you'll likely enter, and the altitude or flight level at which you'll get to this point to get a non-verbal oceanic clearance. Once again, this will all neatly tie in with online flying features on VATSIM or IVAO to seamlessly allow you to have the full A350 experience, which is once again super cool. Moving on to some final features on the MFD then, we also have the entire surveillance page modeled, which allows you to control crucial systems like the weather radar, the terrain avoidance system, the transponder, as well as the TCAS, the latter of which are useful when flying with traffic, obviously. Now, the eagle-eyed among you guys might have noticed how the weather radar is as of yet inoperable. Well, unfortunately, just like other developers struggling with Microsoft's existing SDK, the developers of the A350 also don't seem to have a magic wand to get rid of the weather issue and can therefore not model a functioning weather radar unless Asobo provides a fix in that regard, which will most likely come in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, according to the A350 devs. Everything else you can see though has been modeled quite faithfully, and all individual modes can indeed be toggled on and off for both normal and non-normal operations as well. I am of course talking about the TAWS system here for the non-normal aspects. Finally, on the avionics front then, a full airport database is also present. As can be seen, any airport code can be selected and its pertinent runway information is easily available. This will all be loaded directly into the aircraft's database, so you have access to it for performance calculations and so on when required. And that's that for avionics. Let's go on to talk about some visuals and system simulation then. So ladies and gentlemen, on the texturing and modeling front, the developers say that work has been progressing very well. Several key cockpit aspects have been fully and accurately modeled already, including the seats, the side sticks, the tiller, the throttle, and various miscellaneous items, as you can see in the background. The devs say that their priority was to deliver high quality textures to make you feel like you're in the A350 cockpit for real, while also trying to achieve a balance to ensure solid performance. On the other hand, the team is also going for a balance between a good amount of weathering while also preserving some shine and newness in the cockpit, thereby making the A350 look as realistic as possible. Details like fingerprints, dirt, and grime on various flight surfaces have been intricately modeled, along with A350 specific elements like the starry seat design you can see in the background as well. On the modeling front, we can even see intricate aspects like the cargo bay modeled in high detail. This includes each individual baggage rail modeled to perfection, alongside additional details such as even smoke detectors and wall panes to boot. All in all, though some might not care about a lot of these details, it does give a good indication as to the level of detail we can come to expect with this A350, and that in and of itself makes me personally very, very happy. Finally, in the video, the devs did speak about a few systems that have seen improvements and have been modeled from scratch in the aircraft. This includes things like an accurate fuel system. Now, I'd highly encourage you folks to go and check out this portion of the video for yourselves from Digital Flight Dynamics' official video, linked down below in the description section of this video, as it demonstrates some pretty neat fuel balancing faults and how the aircraft has been coded to deal with all of them accurately. Finally, a brief hint was also provided regarding the OIS, or the Onboard Information System, where full Navigraph charts implementation should also be expected on launch. Once again, great to see SimBrief integration, Navigraph integration, and of course the aircraft itself being modeled accurately and realistically. And that brings us to the conclusion of this video, ladies and gentlemen, showcasing everything covered in episode 4 of Digital Flight Dynamics' Discover 350 series. I, for one, am very excited about every one of these incremental updates, and though I realize that much of the community just wants to know when the aircraft is releasing and often gets frustrated with incremental updates, you need to give developers time, especially when they're working on it absolutely for free. You have to remember they're not a commercial development team. They're all working on it on their own time, and they're just putting hours of dedication, effort, and passion into this project, for which we should be supporting them instead of criticizing them and kind of almost haggling them, as saying that, hey, when is it coming out? When is it coming out? Blah, blah, blah. If you guys did enjoy this video covering everything, do give it a like and let me know what route you'll be flying first on board the